have took the time out of your evening to come and listen to our State of the Corporation address. So thank you for that. We did take our tour with Mr. Cliff Hannon, the high school principal. And so I hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit more about what is happening here at the high school. Our next thing up is our academic data, and Dr. Michelle Drew, our assistant superintendent, is going to give you all kinds of information. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I can say here at East Noble that we can really summarize what we've got going on in this area in 3 words, which is aligning our arrows. That's our theme for this year. And what that really means is we're trying to build out that clarity and consistency across all of our buildings. So we've been looking at things like updating and aligning our curriculum maps and our pacing guides. In some cases, it's creating those that didn't exist before. Focusing on the items that are coming to you up here, we're aligned in terms of we've been updating our academic standards, career readiness. That was part of that tour that we just took with Cliff to see what some of the things happening here at the high school. Looking at things that allow us to provide more equity, and then that continuous professional growth. So in other words, East Noble really is in step with what's happening at the state level. And there are 3 major shifts in Indiana to be aware of. First is this new grading system, A to F. We've been without A to F grades for many years now for various reasons, and it's coming back. They're going to vote to approve the new process in December, and it will be implemented at the beginning of next school year. And what's nice about what they're changing the process to is it's no longer based just on assessment scores. It used to be, how many passed key statewide assessments, but instead this shift is looking at the whole child, and it's really looking at the opportunities we're giving to the students at all proficiency levels, and a lot of it is based on improvement, instead of just being on this, hey, did they pass or did they not pass? And so we're excited about looking at that. The next has to do with providing our teachers with timely data. So with the iLearn checkpoints that went into effect, started them this fall, we're getting real-time actionable data that teachers are tracking and planning their grouping of their students. They're doing interventions very quickly versus waiting months and months for data. And students that by that point have moved to a new grade level, they're looking at new grade level standards, etc. And the third one up there has that focus on personalized learning pathways. And so figuring out what the needs, the goals, the strengths of the students are, and really gearing that education towards them and giving many opportunities. Again, I'll reference Cliff's tour that he gave. If we were to dive into those courses, it supports each of those items up there. And so I want to switch a little bit to some data, and we'll start with looking at our iRead data. We've remained we have grown quite a bit historically with the iRead data, and legislation has changed considerably. We're passing the iRead, makes the difference between staying in 3rd grade or going out to 4th grade. So this is a heavy focus. iLearn, as you look at that historically, we've been going up with a little bit stronger trend in math. And what the DOE likes to do, and I shouldn't say likes, but what they do is, once we get a nice set of data and we can track it, they change things. So we've got this going along, and now we have the checkpoints. And so it's really not going to be comparing apples to apples, but again, it's a good assessment. This is just another peek. I had shown this at an earlier school board meeting. This is ELA for 3 years. What I want you to focus on is the blue bar that says ENSC and the stair-step effect of those going up and then in math.
Dr. Question.
Yes.
So are those like 38% passing or 38, like all these?
What is that, 30? That's the pass rate.
Okay.
Those percentages are the percentage passed.
Okay. And this is, okay, now it says 38, but that first slide was, That one, is that?
That's pass rates for ELA and math, and then by the years. And then this is just looking at it in comparison to the state average and surrounding schools. Continuing with the data trend here, our SAT scores tell a similar story, that we consistently meet or slightly exceed the state average. SAT is a tough one, and you can see there is a big discrepancy in ELA and math, but that is statewide. That's not independent of East Noble. So that's why when we present data, like to have the state data on there as well, so that we can see those comparisons. Now, since 2013, we get a little bit of bragging rights here. Our students have averaged 2,490 dual credits a year. So as you look at this chart, the years across the top, the schools where we were partnered along the bottom, and then along the side and along the bottom, those actual credits that were earned. This is huge because these students are earning both college credit and high school credit at the same time, which if you've experienced this yourself or with your own children, this saves time and money and gives a lot of confidence to the students. So to be able to give 2,490 dual credits a year is a lot. Yes?
Another question, the Ivy Tech hours, since they're so high, are those transferable to any of the schools in Indiana, or is it just strictly it would transfer, like if my student wanted to go to Ivy Tech, those are the only place that those hours would go, or if they would go to Purdue, does it go to Purdue as well?
These schools do vary in where they will go. Now, I can't speak specifically of Ivy Tech. Cliff, do you know?
It depends on what it is, but Ivy Tech especially, we're really lucky to have community colleges that we do in Indiana. Ivy Tech is really robust. My students are working for it, so that's the goal, but it doesn't have to depend on the specific credit, of course.
Yeah, they're just it's not a yes/no question.
Dual credit in math, and with Ivy Tech being the weirdest crew, and they go to IU or Purdue or Ball State, I just wondered, does it transfer through like that?
Depends on the university.
And of course,
goes to Valparaiso University, and she just met with her person, and at Valparaiso, some of the classes, they're like, you can do this at Ivy Tech this summer, you can do this at Ivy Tech, so they'll let you know, they'll let you know what's going to transfer.
and there is a little bit of a issue with that in that if a student knows, say as a freshman, where they want to go to college, then they can get clarity on which of those are going to apply specifically. But often they don't make that choice until their senior year. So, and speaking of readiness, this shows our AP exams. Just like our dual credit, our AP, we're excited because not only are more students enrolling in these courses, but they're also passing, and then the positivity that comes from that. And so a lot of credit going to the teachers, working really hard on identifying the standards and working towards those individually.
Michelle, I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you, so if you're going to teach AP, the teacher has to have some sort of credentials.
Correct.
If you're going to teach dual credit, what do our teachers need to have in order to teach dual credit? Do you know that? Is it masters in that area?
Yeah, the dual credit has a little bit of a higher standard. So for like an AP, you wouldn't need a master's, but for a dual credit, most universities expect you to have a master's in that
area.
field. Universities like Trine have set up programs where they'll assign like a university professor with the staff member too, so that opens up a lot of opportunities. Because it's a lot, I think it's a lot to ask someone to get masters in the content area. So there's the universities are getting creative and opening up those opportunities too, which is really neat.
And one of the reasons I looked at Cliff is for years now, I'm going to say going back to 2018, 2019, they've been looking at trying to really step up the needs of those dual credit teachers, which was going to involve them going back to school for even more education, and schools were pushing back with, our teachers they're not going to want to pay for that on their own, then we're gonna have to pay, how does that all get paid, an unfunded mandate, so to speak. And so it's been bounced around so often that when you ask the question, I had to stop and think, where are we now with that? So, graduation rate, another area of growth. Look at the trend there. This has had a steady upward growth. And this really ties it all together. Because all of these data points that we looked at, so we looked at, and this was very quick, Teresa, give me 10 minutes. We looked at iLearn, we looked at iRead, we looked at attendance, we looked at AP, dual credit, graduation rate. All of those are going to be factors that play into this new A to F school accountability that's going to be voted on in December. And again, going back to the idea that it really has a focus on every single student, and they can earn points for the A to F grade based on where they are and on improvement, which is a big shift in the thoughts of giving A to F and not just having it on those pass rates. But East Noble's ready for the shift. As I said, we've been aligning our arrows, and when we look, today we had another meeting at the high school, when we look at the requirements and we look at the shifts at the state level, we know that we are already moving forward in those areas. So I think I'd wrap it up by just saying, aligning our arrows, what I started with, isn't just a theme, but it really is right now a central concept to everything we do, to our decisions, to our efforts, to our resources, trying to align everything to that point of student success and having that for every student. And I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Gromau.
All right, and a few years back in 2023, we did a strategic plan that involved quite a few people. And so we're going to go back through a little of that, just some highlights. I'm not going to be too redundant, hopefully, but if you remember, we have this symbol that really puts our students at the core of everything that we do, and those are where our arrows would go, is making sure that we align everything so that we're all on the same page and we're giving the same instruction, accountability, that learning piece. And they will also look at our environment, making sure, we'll talk a little bit about that, is good for our students, and all the while we're building those relationships with our students and keeping them at the center of everything that we do. We have many accomplishments. These are just a few highlights that we have because we are limited on time. We're trying to get you out of here by 7 o'clock. But we have added several new clubs over this past year. Nights Online, Pickleball, Plot Twist, Campus Life, Core Student Leaders at the middle school, Silent Nights, and you can see the middle school put in for a lot of new clubs. They have some things going on there that they're trying to achieve during AL. So then also Wayne Center has Readers Theater Club as well. So been working in partnership with Lifewise. They started out, I believe it was in 4th grade, and they've added 3rd and 5th grades this year. And so that's still working, a good partnership there. Obviously, we did East Noble Academy. That's going very well. Our students and staff are loving it there. Totally different environment when you walk in. It's just awesome to be in there. Kids are very friendly. They'll talk to me every time I walk in there, and a lot of times they'll thank us for the facility. So it's kind of really nice to walk in there and be part of that environment. So we've done various facility upgrades. Probably the one that's most notable is at the stadium, our large screen, new turf, new track, all of that stuff. We've also been in the process of transitioning to Chromebooks, so fun times with that. You don't want to even talk about that, do you, Joanna? No. And then we also have some discipline improvements, and our student services director is, oh, there you are, I didn't see you, is Matt Stinson, and he is transitioning from special education to focusing more on discipline and more on safety. And so, Matt, you want to say a few sentences about that? What's happened?
Sentences, yeah. I need to get 10 minutes.
And there's a reason for that, and she will probably attest to it. No, it's just getting back to that aligning of arrows. One of the things that we decided to do this year was to, meet with every building to discuss their discipline data and to talk specifically about what their data tells them, and then how they can share that data and use that data with their staff to better support their students. And really the most important thing is that the data really allows us to focus on interventions, professional development, or a combination of the two. So I think that in the long run is going to allow us with our 5 elementaries to look for more equity and to kind of, I think, shed light on what our common themes are across the district, and then align that to what we're doing in the middle school and high school, which are very close to one another as far as their discipline approach already.
And I would say, if you know anything about education right now, we do have kids coming in with a lot of issues, and we need to address those. So we're really appreciative that Mr. Simpson's able to do that for us this year. What we have done for our staff is we always want to try to retain our people. And so this year we did make sure that we offered insurance for our bus drivers. And so that is one of the things. We started a tri-share program, which allows our staff to sign up and get a 2/3 of their child care paid for. I believe we have 5 people enrolled in that the last time I checked. And so we do have some people on a waiting list. We'd love to be able to offer more, but we only have so much fund money. So hopefully we'll be able to expand that in the future. Speaking of professional development, that's one of the things that we really focus on, and we make sure that we look at the needs and we try to address those through professional development on an ongoing basis. It's just never ends. So we also have coming up this Friday another waiver day, which is a professional development day for our staff. And Dr. Brew has worked really hard in coming up with a schedule that meets the needs of all of our staff members across the board. So we also have put in place an employee health clinic that they can go there and get free services. Not everything, but a lot of basic needs can be met there that are free, so which helps us all out. Community. We are continuing to reach out to our community. We did our principal for the day last Thursday. It was great, very well received by those people that were the principal and our guest principals. Had a good time. The only one we didn't get to do is Wayne Center, which will be this Thursday. We obviously are doing the State of the Corporation address, making sure that everybody stays abreast of what's going on at East Noble, and making sure you have that information. Town hall meeting, we will have one in the spring. We want to make sure the new superintendent is part of that, so we're going to wait and decide what that date is going to be in the future, whenever that person is named. We still continue to do our frequently asked questions. Haven't had to do very many of those, but when we have misinformation out there, we do try to put new information out there and communicate that to everyone. And we do that through Parent Square, social media. I'm sure you've seen that. Our Education Foundation and Alumni Association are working on their inaugural fundraiser gala this coming spring, and so we're kind of excited. That's in the planning stages, and we are going to continue our East Noble Ambassador Program, and I think Amanda was there last year, and so she was able to participate in that. So we know we're always a work in progress. We're always searching for continuous improvement. We're always developing those partnerships, and if you remember, we talked about sticking to Noble County as much as we can. Sometimes we can't, but for the most part, we do try to reach out to our Noble County partners. On the left there, you will see a career day at the high school, and had that last year. Lots of people came in, a lot of partnerships were developed, even if they weren't already started. There were a lot of them in place. And you can see our mayor is right here and helping us plant a tree, so good things. This actually shows a lot of different people coming into our schools and also taking our students out into the community. As you can see, they're at a job site there and they're getting to see what construction trades would look like. So really excited about what those partnerships mean. We went for STEM certification a year ago and then we were not able to get it. So we started talking with the staff and found out that in order to move forward, they wanted some more professional development in that area. Well, great news. Last week, we were awarded at the end of the week a $37,500 STEM grant to be able to provide that professional development to our staff. And that will be integration of our math into other STEAM disciplines. So we're really excited about what that means. We'll be moving forward with that. I've already talked about the town hall meeting, and we do ask that you attend because it is an opportunity for you to speak to us. This is a lot of us just telling you and informing you, but at those town hall meetings, we get to hear from you face to face. So that does matter. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Leach, who's going to talk about finances.
All right, so as we move into finances, if you've seen the budget presentation, you'll recognize some of these slides. This slide here shows you the 4 budgeted funds for 2025 and the dollar amounts associated with each. Just to remind you and give you an idea of what kind of dollars we're looking at. So just under $29 million for the education fund. That supports primarily instruction in the classroom, teachers, aides, supplies and so forth in the classroom. You have the operations fund that focuses more on facilities, maintenance, and so forth. You know, debt service fund, any GO bonds that we sell. For example, the Transportation Technology Center, we sold about $5 million in GO bonds. That's where that gets paid out of. And then most recently, the Eastham Academy and the HVAC upgrades to the central office. So in looking at that, in December of this year, the Transportation Technology Center will be paid off, and then the funds go all directly to the Academy and the central office bonds until it's paid off in, I think, December of 28. And then you have the referendum debt, which is the construction of the new middle school that was passed in 2015. Construction started in 16 and opened up in the fall of 18, and that's to be paid off in 2033. This is kind of a history of the 2 main budgeted funds of the education and the operations fund. The taller bars are the education fund, and the shorter bars are the operations fund. Just like many other things, inflation, costs go up, and after COVID, we've seen costs increase dramatically. Whether it be benefits with insurance or whether it be gas, utilities, wages. We try to keep our wages, investing in our staff by providing better wages and benefits. So just kind of just shows you the history of what this looks like. The past 4 or 5 years or so, we have added some staff to help support the students in the classroom, as well as other areas. We went to full-time nurses before we had half-time nurses in most all of our buildings. We added some teaching staff in order to help bring some of those class sizes down a little bit. Instructional aides have been hired to help with reading groups, and a number of different things in order to try and provide a better learning experience and environment for our students. This will show you the breakdown of our enrollment. Going back several years, I can't remember, we went to 2007. You can see kind of a steady decline from 2007 to 2025. The middle line graph shows our free and reduced lunch. You'll see a dramatic decrease in 2024, and this has a lot to do with the elimination of book rental and the elimination of charging for meals. So when those went away, parents didn't really have as much of an incentive to apply for the free and reduced options. So we're trying to find other ways in order to get the information out, have parents apply, so we don't lose much of our title funding. So our title funding is based solely off of our free and reduced population. You can see kind of a steady incline over the years of our special ed population. not only has the numbers increased, but the severity of some of those students has increased dramatically as well. You also see down at the bottom our ELL population has had a slight increase over the number of years. This shows a breakdown for the last 10 years of where East Noble falls in enrollment. So we're kind of in the middle there. We're down from 2015, we're down just over 10%, but you can see how we relate to other schools in the area. Lakeland's down 28% if you can't read. Northwest Allen is up 19, almost 20%, and so forth. So that's the last 10 years. Then we go back to 2021, so coming out of COVID, we were down about 3.88%. Still a little further on the left, but kind of in the middle there. And then last year, we were down 0.83%. So you can see from our budgets, costs going up, enrollment going down. There's some things that we'll have to talk about as a district and as a community on how we can kind of right that ship a little bit and be successful going into the future. So alongside that is our assessed valuation. This comes into play with our property taxes, the levy we receive to support primarily our operations fund, but also our debt services fund. You can see the assessed valuation over the last 4 years has increased dramatically. And as the assessed valuation increases, you spread the levy out over more dollars, so it brings the rate down. So as the assessed valuation goes up, your rate typically is going to go down, assuming a flat or fairly flat levy. This here shows you where our assessed valuation falls in relation to other districts. Again, something that is shown in the budget. We're right there in the middle. And then our tax rate, so this is 2025, our tax rate was about 68 cents per $100 assessed valuation. This kind of shows you going back to 2019 when the funds changed, you can see kind of a steady decline in our tax rates a little bit. That's also, as you saw, the increase in assessed valuation on one of the previous slides. And then this is how our tax rate stacks up to other schools in the area. We are fourth from the right at 68.1 cents. So compared to other schools in our area, our tax rate is on the lower side of many of them. Then we go to Senate Bill 1. So Senate Bill 1 significantly impacts municipalities, primarily schools, but also cities, fire, police, anyone that receives a levy or a tax rate from the county will see an impact. At the top, you'll see a standard deduction, so that's your homestead credit. That's being phased out over the next several years, starting at $48,000 in 2025, and 2031 it's down to zero. And then replacing that with a supplemental homestead credit or deduction that starts implementing in 2025 at 37.5%, and increases to 2031 where it caps out at 66.7%. Basically meaning they take your assessed valuation times that percentage is where your taxes are going to be calculated off of. So as we move away from the standard deduction and implement the supplemental homestead deduction, you're going to see reduced monies available for municipalities, schools, and so forth. Along with that, they're instituting a supplemental homestead credit, which is the lesser of $300 or 10% of the net property tax bill. So this, again, is another credit that will be applied to homeowners to help protect them from elevated property taxes. But as you credit, you also then, money is taken away from, again, municipalities, libraries, counties, schools, and so forth. There's a 65 and over credit of $150 being implemented, a disabled homeowners of $125, disabled veterans of $250, and then that all affects the residential, so the homeowners and the residences. Then for the property tax deductions for the 2% cap parcels, those are going to be your farmers, rentals, and so forth. They're increasing that deduction starting in 2026 to 6% and going up to 33% in 2031. And then the other main factor here is business personal property tax. Taxes are exempt up to $80,000 currently. As we move forward, into 26 and 27, that increases from $80,000 to $1 million, and then in 2027, $2 million. So basically, a business can purchase in 2027 $2 million worth of business property, equipment, what have you, and not pay any tax on it. So some corporations around here will go for abatements in front of the county to get support and help in investing in their facilities. When they're buying new equipment, adding jobs and so forth, this is going to eliminate some of that and automatically be given to them through this increase in business personal property values. So as we've seen here, enrollment decreasing, our potential of our levy decreasing. This year, Senate Bill 1 had an impact of East Noble for 2026 of about an additional $380,000 for a total of about $500,000. And that's going to stick with us for a period of time. The other piece in 2028, we also lose access to the local income tax, which is about $419,000 for East Noble. So going back through the slides and kind of recapping, enrollment's going down, property taxes revenue is going to be going down, costs are going up. So there's some conversations that are going to have to be had and are being had on how we can make some changes, hopefully minimal impact to move forward, but still provide a quality education for our staff as well as for our students and opportunities for them to be successful. So we've done a number of things so far. Going to Chromebooks was mentioned earlier. We saved some money in that route. We're also invested in some controls in all our buildings to help bring our utilities back in line. We're negotiating with natural gas supply companies, doing a number of things behind the scenes in order to decrease some of those costs and so forth. So that is where we're at from a finance standpoint.
Just kind of take you back to where we started is the students being at the center of everything that we do. And that means that our community's voice, our parents' voice, that matters to us, and we want to make sure that we hear them. So before you leave today, you can grab a sticky note at the outside and just write any kind of comments, questions, suggestions. We do take those seriously. We do share those with the board. We have a few board members here today. And they get to look at that as well. And if there's anything that we can do to improve, we're going to try to do that. So thank you for taking time out of your evening and coming. Hopefully it was valuable and you were able to learn some good information about East Noble. So if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to me or any of the presenters, Dr. Drew, Brian, and we're glad to answer any questions that you have.
Is the presentation going to be online?
Thank you. Yes, we're going to post it just like we did last year. We're going to post it. The presentation will be on there. The PowerPoint will be on there in the video. So same place. We'll just replace the old one. Thank you for coming. And please write down your comments or suggestions on the way out. Thank you so much.